But yeah, now on to the meat and bones of this show. It's definitely going to be meat and bones this show. And one I know we both read, and thank God, because otherwise I wouldn't have put this show out.
Yeah.
I'd have been mad.
We just would have been talking
about nothing. Yeah. Just like, hey. But so yeah, House of X #2.
Damn.
Where do you really begin?
I would say, I don't know, man. I would say, like, I guess, let's, like with Moira McTaggart,
Right.
like.
So Moira McTaggart, a character I'm not overly familiar with. All I know of her is she was one of the most irrelevant characters in Marvel. She wasn't been around for majority of my lifetime. The only thing I know her from really is X-Men First Class, and even then she was completely irrelevant. So, that's my knowledge of Moira, and
I mean, for me,
my knowledge of Moira.
I mean, I grew up in the '90s with the '90s comic and some of the '80s, reading some of the '80s stuff, and like, I mean, she was in and out of the Marvel, the X-Men, series. I mean, she's not entirely important, but she's, I mean, if you ask a person that was in my generation, they would probably recognize that name because, I mean, some of the most significant things, like Proteus,
Proteus, like I can never pronounce the name. Is it like is it Muir Island?
Mira, I believe.
Oh, is it? I know it's a Scottish island. I should kind of know how it's pronounced because it's not far from me, but it's Scotland and
I mean, it was pretty. It was pretty. Like the Jim Lee's the X-Men with the multiple covers had a lot to, like, I think the first or second like storylines had Moira McTaggart and I mean. I mean, if you say her name, I know who she is.
Like, it's pronounced Meyer. Is that her?
Yeah.
Meyer.
I'll go with it.
Yeah. Either way, it's
we'll take it.
It's a tiny little irrelevant Scottish island, so there we go. So yeah, she's been there and abouts, and Hickman in 3 pages here goes like, right, she's now the most important character in Marvel.
Yeah.
She controls this continuity. It's no one else. It's just Moira. It's weird. So, like, I mean, just to explain what they've done a little bit, she has a mutant power. She's always been a mutant. Her power is when she dies, she essentially, it's not reincarnation, but it kind of is. But she gets reincarnated as herself. Like, so she starts her life over again from like utero. So she knows what it's like to be in the womb. She then gets born. She then has to do everything again. And of course, like, once you've already lived a life, she was like, I think she was 70? Is that how old they said when she died?
Yeah.
She died in this. And like, obviously she goes through different life experiences, and she's had, I think we're on life 10 now.
Yeah.
They do detail. I'm going to try to actually look at the
graphic design.
Because there was not a lot of passionate graphic design in this issue. It was very much like hey, this is a Moira McTaggart issue. You need a lot of pages.
We're going to do like the first 10 years of her life, and like.
She was around the 70s when she first died. No, she had a life. They detailed a second life. And like, she did stuff differently. She didn't actually end up with the house and the kids, but she had the house, but she never had like the family and all the kids and stuff.
That's what really get interesting.
Mm-hmm. And then she finds out about Charles because she's like, hey, I might be a mutant. So she goes to visit Charles, gets on the plane crashes and dies.
Yeah.
Life number 3. She finds Charles eventually after, being a toddler for the 3rd time, which, big yikes, like, that would drive anyone insane.
Does this remind you of like Groundhog's Day?
It is Groundhog Day. It's 100%. Like, if Hickman came out with, I really like Groundhog Day, I wouldn't be surprised.
You wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. Yeah. I loved each life, that the way it was explained. It wasn't like in detail, but it was detailed. If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
like
you got enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get to like the points, like there's some really interesting ones that especially with the Apocalypse and then the Magneto one.
We'll get to the Apocalypse one because there's a bit of like I have questions about that one, but I think it's Life 3 where she's trying to cure mutants and she makes the cure herself. And she gets attacked by the Brotherhood of Ill Mutants. So, like, there's what? Mystique, Destiny, and Pyro. And Destiny's kind of like, hey, your future's a weird one. Like, we're now entangled, you see. Like, if you die and come back and try and kill me, I'm going to know you're going to do that. And then I'm going to know about your powers. So, I'm just going to kill you before you get to me. So, you don't even try.
And the way they did it, man.
It's fantastic. Like, the art, like, the art in these two, I think it's Pepe Larraz in this one and Arthur Powers of 10. But like Larraz sold this issue so well. They do so much heavy lifting. And to lift up Hickman's stuff is a big ask. So the fact they managed that is fantastic. And like they obviously they kill Moira in a very like slow, burny, painful way thanks to Pyro.
The interesting part was that Moira said to do that, right?
It was Destiny to. You said
maybe I read that wrong. Sorry.
I think so. Well, I would double check, but Comixology is being a pain and is not loading, so I can't even look at it right now. So yeah, she then dies there. Then her next life, was it Magneto? Her next life?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, is either Magneto was her next life, or it was she went to Charles again and she tried to.
Well, I think she went to Charles again, and then I gotta try to find the copy.
It's what her next life was the Savior. Right, so yeah, she goes to Charles.
Thank you, Chad.
They make a utopia and Sentinels attack and they die. And the recurring thing in this is Sentinels will always come and you will always die.
Yeah.
So she then. It's like, hey, stuff humans, let's go to Magneto. Magneto gets killed by the Avengers and some mutants. Moira then dies again. I think Life 5 was like I'm not entirely sure which one is supposed to be the timeline that we've been following this entire time.
I believe it was.
I'm not sure if it's 10 or if it's 5 because they say about like the lost years and classic years, and it's like it's one of the two. I'm not 100% sure. Like at this point, Hickman kind of go, oh yeah, it's number 4, and she's died for like 5 more times.
Hold on, I got it. I'm looking. Life 5. She chooses it's asteroid M, and she tries to kill. Yeah. Bolivar Trask, I think.
Oh yeah, because she becomes the assassin, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She becomes the Trask, and then it's like, yeah, even killing Trask, the Sentinels still come because Master Mold's a thing. Just like, oh. So, what Hickman's trying to get at is, mutants are stuffed either way.
Yeah.
And they can't. You see that, like, if you read Powers of 10, you can see why. And judging from the title of that book being Powers of 10, I imagine we're going to get a look at more realities than what we have. Unless they just, like... So we know House of X doesn't go well. We know this entire events don't end up going great, and then this happens in Powers of 10. So are we going to see Moira die at some point again? And then get a look at the 11th life?
I believe so. I think that's where it's leading to.
Yeah. Because like you can't introduce a concept like that and then kind of go like, "Hey, yeah, we're never going to kill her off." Like, you have to kill her off at some point and see how things changes.
Yeah, I think that's where it's leading to, because you had to get to that 11th life.
Yeah, but even with the 11th one, like Destiny says an 11th is possible, but my question is, how far can Destiny see in the future?
Oh, man, like her power set's been kind of inconsistent. Like when she, like when she was introduced, she could see into, if I'm remembering correctly, the immediate future, And then I don't know. It's just like every other power. It kind of is inconsistent on how it works.
Yeah, because the immediate future was someone like Moira. You could say like you're just seeing the immediate of Moira's like X amount of lives. Like she could die like 5 more times in a short. Like I'm not like Moira's powers throw a lot of things in the air. Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And it's like, do we know Moira only has 10 with a possible 11? If she has a possible 11, who says she can't have infinitum lives?
Yeah, like it definitely throws a monkey wrench in everything because it really hasn't explained like the extent of her powers.
No, but what her powers do is they solve a lot of continuity issues. So hey, this doesn't make sense. That's fine. It was in Moira's Life 5.
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't add up to number 6 because stuff went differently. No.
So like, did the giant size X-Men number 1? Did that happen or did it?
I think everything has happened up to a point. I'm not I'm not 100% sure, to be perfectly honest. Like, I don't think anyone can sit here and go, oh yeah, this is exactly how it went. Yeah. I don't think Hickman wants you to know exactly how it went.
Yeah, I'm sure it's all leading to that.
Yeah.
But look, man, he's like when he said that he was going to change the landscape.
Yeah, I don't think anyone could have called this.
Yeah, I think this was like out of left field for me. I'm like, like taking a character like Moira McTaggart and making her basically the center of the X-Men, like, or just the universe in general, like
I'll say she has to be like an Omega level at this point because she can do whatever she wants. Yeah. What I want to know is how does this affect everything else?
Like everything outside that X-Men continuity.
Yeah.
I mean, has anything really existed?
Because here's the thing, like with the whole how everyone was acting differently in House of X number 1. Like Scott coming out the portal to the Fantastic Four and being like, being all cocky and trying to get Saber back. Like, if we don't know when House of X is.
Yeah.
So all we know, this could very well much be
an alternate universe.
Yeah. Even though if you look at the costumes for the Fantastic Four, they're the recent ones, so it kind of dates it where we are now.
But I mean, who's to say the alternate universe isn't? The Fantastic Four.
True. There's a very popular theory going around. This is all in the 1610, so it's up in the air at the minute. But
I love what he's. I mean, just on the 2 issues, man. Like it's like rejiggered and reimagined.
He's thrown out the foundation of the X-Men and he's put his own one in.
Exactly. And
in what a quarter of the intro to his run.
And this has been infinitely more interesting than any other any other storyline I've ever read so far.
Yeah, because say Moira's like everything we're in currently now is it was not what we have been following for the last 60 years.
60 years.
Hypothetically, that's why, and that would explain why Jean Grey's in Marvel Girl costume and all that. Explains why the Wolverine is slightly different to what we know, and why Cyclops is different. But then you still got Xavier walking around like a weird makeup. So it's a bit
like a little remake ripoff. A maker.
Yeah, it's like. It explains a lot, but at the same time, it raises more questions.
Yeah. And that's what's I love it.
Kind of hard to really think. But back to the Apocalypse life she had, where she teams up with Apocalypse as a final, a last resort. Because she's like, you know what, people call him a monster. It's the one option I haven't tried yet. Let's try and do this. So she becomes one of the Horsemen, and she fights against what looks like the Man-Machine War still happens because it's the same Sentinels and Powers of Ten. Which is Powers of 10 currently in that lifetime?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it looks like it.
Because the chevrons in the chart for her lifetimes and lifelines kind of go off for Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Like the same with whatever lifeline we're on now at the bottom that leads to House of X #2, saying like, "Hey, this life is here." Like it just chevrons off, and you don't see where her life ends in that Apocalypse timeline.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something there. The only other time apart from those two that it does chevron out, it says she was in a coma for I think a few years.
Years, yeah.
So there's got to be something he's not showing and telling us. Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh man, can you just think about when this is all said and done, everybody's mind is gonna be literally blown. I'm sure of it.
Well, here's the thing: like Hickman loves introducing something that will completely throw a spanner in the works in the first few issues, and not touching on it until the end of his run, like 5 years later. So you're gonna have to remember something in this issue because
better go back, man.
Like the very last run of X-Men is gonna have something there.
I would say invest in those paper, those like sticky things to keep pages like separate, so like you can mark them. That's what you're saying. Like,
get the sticky notes.
You're gonna get a dry board, set it up in the apartment, and just start doodling away on the timeline thing.
Get some red conspiracy thread. And, just go full Charlie Day.
Yeah.
No, it's obviously not a lot happens in this issue, but everything happens in this issue. Like,
there's a lot of groundwork laid on this.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like the narrative doesn't go forward, but at the same time, it gets thrown light years in front of everything.
Yeah.
So it's
like, when you get down to it, what did you think of the issue?
I loved it. I think it's fantastic. Like I did not expect it, and it's exactly what I've been wanting. It's not exactly what I've been wanting because I didn't know I wanted this, but like something like this just to completely shake X-Men to its core is something I've wanted for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while since I have been this itching to read a comic each and every like I ended this issue and go, I want to read the third issue.
Same. It's just like it's also making me want to reread House of X 1 and Powers of 10-1.
No.
It's like, how do you look at that differently now? Especially with House of X #1, because where was Moira in that? Where is Moira currently in House of X?
Maybe she was. Did it ever tell you what House of X timeline it? Was she in a coma at that time?
We don't know. That's the thing.
Damn you.
I assume she's around now because she says, me and Charles have got a break of business. So there's got to be something there.
Yeah. Do you think the third issue does anything to tell you, or do you think he's just gonna make the third issue about nothing about this and just?
Oh well, I think he's gonna go back to House of X #1. I think this is going to be it for a while.
Damn him.
Until we see Moira again.
Yeah.
There's a theory going around that if you read House of X #1, they give you a map of Krakoa.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a black spot. And apparently this black spot, not even the island knows what it is. It's kind of like a little tumor. And it's like, what's in that black spot? Could Moira be in that black spot?
I get
it's just like we don't really know.
I'm happy to have this, but I'm also sad to have this at the same time. If that makes any sense.
I say it's one of those it makes you feel smarter for reading it, but at the same time it doesn't it kind of makes you realize how dumb you really are.
Really are. Yeah.
It's like
it makes you feel inferior. Really.
So I wish I was smart enough to actually understand what I'm reading, but I'm clear. So.
Yeah.
But we also actually got the letter Y revealed for the Krakoa alphabet in this one as well. So we're only missing V and Z, I believe now. So once that full alphabet's out, I'm just going to be like, right, okay.
Start writing coded messages on your Twitter page.
Yeah, just like help, help, you're held captive in Krakoa. But no, it's a very.
I love the glimpses into her different lives. I thought that was really interesting. Especially the Magneto one. The
I mean,
Apocalypse.
I'd read a book just on the Apocalypse one.
Yeah, I'll put $5 that says by the time this is done, they'll probably get like a series, at least a mini series on one or two of these.
See, actually, here's the thing. Right, if you look at the teams for the X-Men books, right, they actually have villains on them. Like, Apocalypse and Excalibur. So, like, is Moira the reason why they're all there? Because Magneto's there, you know, she teamed up with Magneto. Apocalypse is on Excalibur, and she teamed up with Apocalypse at one point. So is she the reason why they're all there now?
You think she might end up being the bad?
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked.
Weren't we saying the same thing last week about like Xavier? It's like, wouldn't this be interesting if he was the bad guy of the series? And now,
I mean, yeah. I mean, I make them both the villains. Why not?
Man, it was kind of draining to read it though. I don't know how you felt, but like at the end of the book, I was just like, I gotta take a nap, man. This is too much.
Exerted too much energy reading it.
Too much information.
It's definitely one I had to at least read a couple of times, just to
grasp it, right?
It's just like I understand that you've given her mutant powers and she's like horrifically overpowered and everything now, but like, I got to read it again. Yeah. I think even now I've got to read it again because I'm still not entirely sure on everything, and I think anyone who tells me they're entirely sure on it is bold-faced lying.
That's lying.
That's just me.
The only person that can understand this fully is Hickman,
and that's only because no doubt he's got the ending sussed and exactly.
But the one where she gets blown up when she was going to Xavier, that was just like, whoa! I did not see that one coming at all.
No, that's just really unfortunate. It's like, oh, what a waste.
It was like one life out of the possibly 10 or 11 lives.
Yeah, just
snuffed out.
Wasted. Yeah. No, she's had some very interesting lives. And it's like, what does that do to a person? Because she's obviously not the Moira McTaggart everyone knows now, because she can't.
Yeah. Now, do you think that like they're gonna explore any of these lives? Like in like
I think with at least the Apocalypse one being chevroned out, they're gonna like whether it's Powers of 10 is that timeline or not, I don't know. Yeah. But
like I'm just like, I got so many questions. Like, does Giant Size X-Men #1 is that current continuity or is that like a
I think safe. I think the safest bet to say is anything post the Grant Morrison run is out.
Okay, good.
So everything from like House of M and all of that lot to at least Avengers versus X-Men. Anything Bendis touched between those periods with X-Men is gone.
Are done, thankfully.
No, because he literally calls them the Lost Decade.
So you're saying like the Avengers versus X-Men, that never happened?
Yeah. Well, it happened. It happened in a timeline.
Yeah. But not in the supposedly proper.
Yeah, not necessarily in the current 616.
Jeez, man. I think once this is done, this has to impact the actual 616.
Oh,
right?
It's got to. There's something has to happen.
Like, I mean, and something majorly has to happen because, I mean, like, a lot of these events, like some of these events that might not have happened in quotation marks, like the Avengers X versus X. I mean, that was a pretty big crossover, and I mean, to say that they didn't exist in the 616, that means that like all those characters in that story weren't the characters that, I don't know, you know, I feel like I'm going around in circles, but it's like madness, you know, like. Yeah. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see like the post House of X or Powers of 10.
Powers of 10. We will get it right one day. As Powers a collective, we will get it right. You know, it's definitely Powers of 10 House of X in a minute. So.
But like, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see what the House of X post House of Powers of 10
is. They did this on purpose, like.
Yeah, to drive people insane, like they're doing me. But to complete my thought is that it's gonna be interesting to see what the post landscape of 616 universe looks like after this.
And now, like, chat's got an interesting point. Like, there's 3 red issues in the back when they give you the timeline of how you read it. And obviously, the House of X #2 was the first one, like, to be read out. So, does that mean the other 2? I think it's like there's 2 more. There's 3 more. So, does that mean we're going to get looks at Moira in those issues, or is that like a hey, something really big and important happened in this issue?
I mean, that would be an indication that it might be important. Like, it's just like it. I mean, it's different colors from, right?
Yeah. Everything else is black, and this one is red.
But watch it means absolutely nothing.
I mean, it very well could do. Make it throw it off, but just like coincidentally, the biggest issue for X-Men in 30 years, something like that. Was it the red one? So maybe. Yeah. It's like, what could you possibly? How can you go bigger than this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't just affect the X-Men universe. It's going to affect everything else after this. So, I mean, it pretty much has to be like at least a milestone.
Or hypothetically, do we learn what Life 6 was?
Oh god.
Because there was not even a timeline for Life 6. It was just literally a blank part in the graphic design. It's just like, why are you leaving that one out? What is so important about Life #6?
Yeah,
something has to have happened in that for him to leave it out.
Yeah, I mean, it seems coincidence that. I mean, it's an unknown narrator the whole entire time too, right? Man, I'm so fried thinking about this. I'm literally jabbering on right now.
You'll be forgiven for thinking it. But no, I've got a little theory, like, and I don't know, it's just a complete left ball, right? No basis theory. Like, what if they kind of have their own set of norms?
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's in Greek mythology. Moira was like a name used for the fates.
Okay.
And obviously they had people dressed in white robes that worked with them or worshipped them. And it's like, we have Magneto in a white robe.
I mean, it doesn't sound too far fetched. I mean,
it's like if Destiny is now intertwined with Moira, that's 2 or 3 of a Norn fate combination.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows, man? You could be nailing it right now.
So it's the fact that he said, Hickman has her say, it's time to break all the rules. What does that mean?
So,
yes, I can't even say yes. Obviously, breaking all the rules means Krakoa, because they did a utopia in a previous lifetime with Moira, and that just ended with Sentinels attacking.
Yeah.
And what we are led to believe in a minute is that the Sentinels are going to attack anyway, and we kind of know they are, or at least they're on their way.
Regardless,
because Soul's Hammer's got the Omega Sentinel head in it, so. Yeah. There's got to be something coming that way, but I don't know. I honestly don't believe that this life is anything that we saw in this issue.
Yeah.
I know the line from Life 10 went across to House of X #2, indicating that it is that lifetime. I honestly don't believe it is.
Do you think it's I don't know.
I kind of want to say it's 11.
Yeah.
Or at least, Moira's or if it is Life 10, Moira's gonna die soonish.
Yeah.
And then it's like, right, well, we did this and then this happened. Let's prepare for that.
Yeah, and the catalyst has always been the Sentinels, right?
Yeah. And apparently it's always going to be the Sentinels.
And killing Task didn't stop that, so.
No, because Master Mold was just like, yeah, I was already built.
Yeah.
And, I just don't know. You can't say unless in Life 6 you took out Master Mold, but then Sentinels attacked after that in Apocalypse.
Yeah. So do you because I thought like the narrator is Charles, right? Do you think?
What in this issue?
Of the current Life 10, like Xavier, like
I don't know. I took it as Moira.
Yeah, because like the little stuff that happened with Life 6, it sounded like because she opened her mind up to Xavier, in Life 10, right? Yeah, the Xavier of Life 10. That's what I thought, that like he was the narrator for some reason.
I mean, I didn't take it that way, but it very well could.
Jeez.
Very well.
Does it? I don't know, Chad. Does it sound like I'm like rambling on?
I think we're both rambling, to be honest. I don't think you can talk about this issue without really rambling.
I literally feel like a crazy person when I'm talking about this, because like I don't know. It's just like there's like a little here, but there's a lot. There's like information here, but it's all fragmented. So I don't know. Like it's just like it's all really interesting.
It's like trying to put your own mind back together without knowing who you are.
Yeah, exactly. Or knowing what the shapes are that the fragments. When does this end? Do you know?
What House of X? Hoxpox, just to make it easy to say, ends, I believe, in November or 9 weeks from now.
Oh my gosh! Does this seem like forever though? Man?
Yeah. It's gonna go by quick because these last 3 weeks have gone quick.
Do you think there's gonna be any type of resolution to this? In at least
eventually, yeah. Maybe not in these series, but eventually, yeah. Unless, now, chat has an interesting theory here. What if the new X titles are Life 11? I like that a lot.
That's interesting.
Because they could very well do that and be like, hey, yeah, you've seen her Life 10 because, Destiny and is a possible 11th. So what if, say she dies in House of X number 12 or 6, whatever it is. I think it's 6.
6,
so yeah. she dies in that, and then, what we see going forward is essentially the same as House of X with the whole Krakoa Island, except maybe it's not on Earth, and maybe Krakoa is all on the moon, even though
I don't know,
because we saw them planting Krakoa seeds in different locations.
Yeah,
there was on the blue side of the moon, it was on Mars, it was in the Savage Lands, it was everywhere. So maybe. Like, I don't know.
Well, I know. I mean, if you look at the solicitations, they have like because Excalibur is like almost like a pirate. Like they're all on the sea. I think they're like.
Oh, you mean Marauders?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Marauders is on the sea. Like they're like pirates or something.
Could Hickman really be giving us a mutant trading company book? I hope so.
That'd be awesome.
It's like, hey, we're an island nation now. We have to trade with everyone.
We need, next thing you know, comes tax cuts and stuff like that. The politics.
Like, hey, Brexit, here's how you make trade deals.
Send them a copy to all the highest officials. It's like, this is how it's done right, man.
Like, hey, Boris, read this. It's got a pretty colour, you'll love it.
If you probably send it to that guy, he'll probably just say, oh, great, mutants.
He'll rumble on about something.
Yeah. He will literally sound like me about 20 seconds ago.
I mean, God help us in like 6 weeks' time.
Do you think this is definitely going to read better in a trade, right?
Oh, absolutely. Once these 2 series are done, it's going to be one hell of a read.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like one of those books that I'm definitely just going to buy physically and just like sit, lock myself in the bathroom and read this thing until like cover to cover, man.
Well, tell the missus to keep the sharp objects away, just in case. If you're gonna lock yourself in the bathroom.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't lock myself in the bathroom, but I'll lock myself in the closet somewhere. Yeah. But
no electricals, no nothing.
Yeah.
let's keep that away.
Just slide the food.
Trying to figure out the book.
Slide the food underneath the door, please.
Yeah. But,
yeah.
So yeah, I would call it. I would put the thumbnail when I splice this up as like, what's going on? But I haven't really got a clue what's going on. So I'm not gonna.
It's all speculative gabbish.
Yeah. There's been a spanner thrown in the works. We have a faint clue of what it means. But apart from that, there's no real telling what this means and how it's going to go forward.
Yeah. I mean, it's oh man, I can't say enough good stuff about how they're treating this now.
No, it's fantastic. And it's deserving that these two are the first 1-2 selling books for X-Men since like the early 2000s. So,
that's crazy, right?
It's telling. Like, I think between the first two issues, they sold about 300,000.
Like all 18 covers too. I mean, like crazy.
I assume the 18 covers like help that plot. So divide 300,000 by like 18. That's probably your actual number.
But yeah.
But no, it's a hell of a run, and it's only been 3 issues. And
it's like it's perplexing. I would love to see what like when this is all done. I want to see someone that's like really like smart read this and see if their brains explode.
I tell you what, we will both enroll in a school to study, and we will get our degree in Hickmantology.
Awesome. And I need that degree sometime.
We will then come back and decipher everything.
We'll decipher the language. We'll write a review, and
I mean, luckily people have deciphered the language already. So yeah,
people
have already got their Hickmantology degree. But
I'm surprised there hasn't been fonts made out of this.
Wait till V and X are out, and they will guarantee it. That'll be a fun.
Let's make T-shirts with the mutant language.
I might actually do that.
It's a good idea.
I might actually do that. But yeah, so Powers of 10 is out in 2 days. Hopefully, it just continues. Actually, it can't continue what number 1 did because number 1 kind of ended.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know.
No idea.
This is why you don't have expectations and you don't try and theorize on Hickman, because you'll always be wrong.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fact of the world. There's very few. That is one of them. But
yeah, it's almost futile to speculate on a Hickman. Like I did that once with the Fantastic Four, and I was like so wrong, man. It felt really stupid. Yeah. So glad it wasn't recorded.
Well, now this one has, so one.
Oh yeah. All my credibility's out the door.
It's gonna be like, what is wrong with Tristan? Like, he really broke Tristan. Like.
I feel bad for Tristan now because he's gonna get all those weird messages and stuff. Yeah, why is your kid not crying?
If you would like to ask Tristan a message, you can go to his Twitter at @jchance and ask him why he went just rambled on about nothing on the comedy show.
Ask him about his kid too. Sure, I'm sure he would love that.
Please, someone do it just for the shit.
Yeah.
I just want to see him be like, what the hell is this person saying?
Why does people keep asking me about kids? I don't know.
I know full well he'll just screen cap it in the chat and be like, I have no idea.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What did you tell them to do? But yeah, that's going to bring this to an end because this is now definitely just a ramble from my part. Yeah. So,
me too.
Yeah, that was kind of House of X number 2.
Come from 2 people.
I make no promises Powers of 10 number 2 will be any better next week or this week actually. But...
It might be interesting to listen to. Who knows?
Yeah. All I can say is Powers of 10 number 2 will be really good. Our explanation probably won't be, but that's how it goes.
It'll sound like.
What are you gonna say? Sorry.
I was gonna say it's gonna sound like a guy that took 2 trips of acid and recorded it.
Fun fact: that's probably how Hickman writes.
That's true.
Hey, this will make sense when I'm awake.
Yeah. Just he created the mutant language, from scratch.
I say to make your own language, you gotta be on some next level stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely either that or he's definitely dedicated to his work, man. It's just.
Dude's a crazy genius. There's no way about it.
How long do you think it's going to take for linguistics classes to start teaching this language?
I'm 90% certain that X-Men comic Twitter is already working on it.
That's awesome.
90% certain. So, yeah. One day the Twitter font will just be the Krakoan language, and we'll just have that on Twitter. It's like, hey, I can talk muty. So yeah. thanks for stopping by, everyone, and listening to that. Sorry there was no news, but I don't control that.
Yeah.
And us and the baby will catch you all next time. So,
yep.
bye.
This is Tristan. Bye-bye.